Again, it's not that our Google Analytics are telling us a lot yet because our web page is still pretty new. This is the one that's up on Nitrous, the one that we're controlling through our GitHub repo. But I wanted to show you, again, under behavior here, under experiments, I did set up a little test and I just wanted to show it to you very quickly. Just called it test one because this is how we're just learning our way through this. It's perhaps it should be more intuitive as to what test one is really doing, but still. What we've got here is something that I had set up a little bit before. I named it. I said how many of our users are supposed to go through it. And I said, send half the users through this test, but I can modify that. I can say, look, I want more users through the test. I want all users to be exposed to this. It's even more advanced options, but I can say, let's save those changes. Once I've set up the name of the test and what it is that I'm going to be looking at for the test, I configure my experiment. And in this case, what I did was I said that I had an original page that kind of looked like that. And I have this new page and it kind of looks like this. And these are the URLs. Now notice I used a shortener to create these names. And we'll talk about this in class. The reason was because Nitrous uses a port number. And so I did create a new name for the URL. It's just a redirection, but it does make this experiment all work. And it did take me a while to figure that out. So I'm so happy to share that with you. But I set up these two possible pages. And then I actually have to get, much like the tracking that we do with Google Analytics, I have to get this wad of code that I have to paste into the top of the original page. Kind of hurts me a little bit that this gets sort of put to us in this way, though it certainly does work to paste it in. We're going to try to untangle it a little bit later, but basically same steps as a tracking thing, except this is doing a little bit more. It's setting up an experiment for us. And then we're allowed to go ahead and start the experiment. And Google does validate for us that it did find the Google Analytics code that it needed, and it was able to maybe potentially be able to run this experiment. So that's just an overview of what it looks like to set up something like an A/B test. You can do it using your Nitrous server. I think it's worth rolling your sleeves up and trying to get it going. It does take a little while before we can see some results, but at least you get some hands-on experience with these experiments using Google Analytics. Okay, stay tuned because we're going to jump into going back to our Nitrous server next.